Hello, algebra kids. One moment, please. I am gathering something for the commercial break. All right, so this chapter 2 extra credit. And we're going to jump right in. Okay, so when you start solving, this is a big, huge chapter on how to solve equations. So I've taught you to go through, draw your line, locate your variable, and then see what is happening here. We are subtracting 12, so we need to do the opposite. So we're going to add 12 to both sides. Negative 12, positive 12, 0, and we have x equals 20. And circle your answer. Okay, we can go over here as well, draw the line, but we notice that the variable's on the right side now. And we're adding 6, so we're going to do the opposite of adding 6, which is subtracting 6. We're left with the a, and 33 minus 6 is 27. Now, when you're doing these, for example, with number 3, write an equation to represent the relationship. A number decreased by 9 is equal to 6, then solve the equation. So I recommend you kind of highlight these different things. You have to write an equation, then you have to solve the equation. So there's two parts to this where you could lose points. So the first one, I would like a new color. Write an equation. Okay, so a number, x, just pick x, decrease by, that's subtraction, 9 is equal to, 6. So there's the first half of the question. Now we have to solve that. Draw your line, locate your variable. Whatever it is, you could pick any letter, is fine. We are subtracting 9, so now we are going to add 9. And x equals 15. So then the two things that I'm looking at when I'm correcting is do you have that, and then your work, of course, and the final answer. Okay, so that was the first section, adding and subtracting to solve. Then we got on to the next section, and a little different. Draw the line, locate the variable, and here we notice that there's a different operation between here. This is multiplication. So we do the opposite of multiplying, because remember we're doing the opposite of said well, actually, we're undoing the equation to get the m alone. So that is 8 times m, so we're going to divide by 8. 8 over 8 is what, class? 1. Right? 1m. But we don't have to put the 1. You can put the 1 if you want. 7. Now the difference when we go over here, we draw a line, we locate the variable. There's still a multiplication, right? 1/4 times x. But if we were to draw the line and divide by 1/4 and draw the line, divide by 1/4, it looks a little bit uglier that way. So remember that when you're dividing by a fraction, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. So when we do that, these cancel, and we're left with 1x. And then, there's always a 1 under that. And negative 6 times 4 is a negative 24. Then we have another one of these. So we have to write an equation, and then we have to solve the equation. So let's read it. The product, you got to know what product means. Product is a multiplication of 6 and a. So 6 times a is equal 24. Do you have to have that dot in there? No, you do not. 6a equals 24. Draw your line, locate your variable. The operation between these two is multiplication. So you are going to divide by 6. 6 over 6 is 1. So I'm left with A equals 4. And there are my two answers. All right, then we're going to drop down to the bottom where we have multiple steps to do. So do not panic. Draw a line and notice where the variable is right here. Problem is it's locked in the parentheses here. So you need to unlock it. And that is by distributing. Okay. Yes, you can keep, change, flip. Get that a negative with the 5. That's fine. 3 times p is 3p plus 3 times a negative 5 is negative 15 plus 8 equals 17. So I just rewrote the rest. Now, before we start moving things back and forth like we did up here, you want to make sure there's nothing we can combine. So we got 3p plus a negative 15 plus 8. And we notice those are like terms. They're on the same side of this line, so I can combine those. So a negative 15 and a positive 8 is a negative 7. Or you could put a plus a negative. Having a little technical difficulties here. I am a math teacher. I like things neat. Let's see, so plus 7. Or you could add minus 7 either way. And then again, we're going to do opposite of PEMDAS. Remember, we work backwards on this. So we're working up. So you do any kind of adding or subtracting first. So we're going to add 7 to both sides. Then we do the multiplying and dividing next. And there is a multiplication here. And we're left with p equals 8. Now when we go over here, again, we're going opposite PEMDAS, so we're going to add, subtract first. So draw your line, locate your variable. You got to get rid of this first. Plus 2. We have 17 equals c over 3. And now we do the multiply, divide. And it's c divided by 3. Remember that fraction bar is division. So the opposite of dividing is multiplying. So c is equal to 17 times 3 is 51. All right, that sounds like the perfect time for a commercial break. Today we are being sponsored by Zevia again. They like to sponsor me. And we have a new flavor, which is, why is the table so dirty in my commercial? We have Zevia, new brand, Starberry Burst. No, Strawberry Lemon Burst, excuse me. This is a fantastic drink. Nice and clear, no colors. Yes, that's fine. Maybe the next one. Okay. Very good. Highly recommend. Next page. Oh, it's wet. That's just great. Oh, wow. Okay, so we have a word problem, which everyone seems to panic over, but the word problem they're the most fun, really, because we're talking about a real thing. You got a painting company, charges $250 base. So what does base mean? Base means they come to your house to paint, and you're paying that no matter what. They paint one shingle, or not shingle, one siding piece, and they're paying $250 because that's what they charge you to just come to your house. Then they're going to charge you $16 for every hour that they're there. Another painting company, so there's a different one, charges $210 base, so they charge $210 to show up at your house, and they're charging $18 per hour. So this is less to begin with, but then it's more per hour than this one. This is more at the beginning and less per hour. So the question here is, how long is a job for which the two companies' costs are the same? So if it's the same, we're talking about an equal sign, right? We're trying to find out when they're equal. So we need an expression for that. 250 plus 16 per hour. So what is the variable? What is changing? The hours, right? You automatically are paying 250. That's not changing. Plus 16 per hour. I'll just use X. You can use whatever you want. Now we need an expression for the other one. 210 is the base plus 18. 210 plus 18 per hour. So now it's just a matter of solving. There goes my cuckoo clock. All right, so we're going to subtract 16x. We'll end up with that. Got to get the 210 to the other side. Remember, when you're doing this 16, you want to get those x terms together first. So it usually works best when you move the smaller x term, because then you end up with a positive 2x. If you would have moved the 18x, it's fine, but you would have ended up with a negative 2x over there. So subtract the 210. I'm running out of room, which is not good. I'm going to write it up here. So 2x equals 250 minus 210 is 40. And divide by 2. And x is 20. 20 what? 20 what? How long is a job for which two companies cost the same? 20 hours. 20 hours. After that, this company is going to be cheaper. The one with the cheaper rate. Before that, this one's probably going to be cheaper. Not probably, it will be. Okay, let's practice some more solving. New color. All right, I'm going to draw your line, locate your variable. Oh, they're on both sides. So what did I just say about moving variables? You want to move the smallest one. So we're going to subtract the 4a first. 7a minus 4a is 3a. Now I got to get rid of the 17 by adding 17 to both sides. And now these are multiplied, so I'm going to divide, and we're going to get a equals 6. All right, then when we go over here, draw our line, but see what happens is we got these parentheses in there, so we need to kind of get rid of those first. So we're going to do our spider legs, our distributive property. Remember, you can keep, change, and flip, and make sure to multiply the 3 by both. So 3 times 2x is 6x, plus a negative 3, plus a 5, equals, again, spider legs, distributive property, 6x plus 6. So when you're looking over here, you're going to combine like terms, because look at this. These are on the same side of this line. That means we can just combine those. What's negative 3 plus 5? That's 2. And then we end up with this. Now the parentheses are gone. We've got it simplified. Now we got to move the x's, and I think you can see what's going to happen here. Oh wow, they're both gone. So all we're left with, we're not done with the problem, is we're left with 2 equals 6. Class, is 2 equal to 6? No, it is not. So that means no real solutions. That means there is nothing that you can possibly put in here for x that will make these two sides equal. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. No real solutions. All right. Then we jump down to here where we're given 3 variables. See, in these other ones, we always had 1 variable. Well, here's 3. So you always have to look to say, oh, okay, well, what are we solving for? It says right there. We're solving for x. So, circling x. Because if it's on the top, I just want to leave it alone. If it's on the bottom, I got to get rid of it. But it's on the top, so I'm going to leave it. It's divided by p. So what's opposite of dividing by p? Multiplying by p. And we're done. That's it. Same thing over here. Again, we have to look and say, what are we solving for? There's an x and there's a y, and it says for y. So I'm going to circle the y. My daughter is behind me making a delicious dinner. I believe it's shaved beef with broccoli and zesty curly fries. So we're just going to give our 3 kudos there for Katie, who's making dinner tonight. Yay for Katie. Okay, back to this. So we have circled the y, and we need to get rid of whatever's being added or subtracted. Remember what I said about PEMDAS. Going backwards when you're solving. So we're going to do add, subtract first. So what's being added to this term? The 3x. So we're going to subtract the whole thing. 7y is still there, but now you can't put those together. Those are not like terms. You just have to write it top to bottom. 2 minus 3x. Still trying to get the y alone. It's 7 times y. So now we are going to divide by 7. And you can leave it just like that. 2 minus 3x over 7. Or you could put the 7 with them each individually. They're both 100% correctamundo. All right. Now my son is calling. Okay. One moment, please. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Okay, now we got alarms going off. Anywho, all right. Now I gotta find a new color. Oh, I could use this one. Have a sparkly pun. All right. So when you're solving for portions like this, yes, you could use equivalent fractions, right? So some of you see that 2 times 2 is 4, and 3 times 2 is 6. Perfectly fine. B is 6. But I also want to show you this way, because the problem is if you don't learn it this way, then you get to these problems over here, and all of a sudden you're like, what the heck do I do? So, oh, you can't see the sparkle. Oh. Equals, I can see the sparkle. Okay, equals 12. Divide by 2, and B is 6. No, not having any of the sparkle. I'll get rid of that. It's not worth it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. So when we get to these proportions over here, this you got to know how to handle. So I'm sure a lot of you are totally fine with doing that. And then, oh, you can see that sparkle. You can see that's 30x. Oh, but that's hard to see with the camera. I'll get my other pink pen. That's 30x equals. And then when you go this way, though, you have to be careful, because this 2 has to get distributed through to that. It gets distributed. That x minus 4 is locked together. So we need to distribute. Plus a negative. So 30x equals 2x. Remember, I keep changing. I flipped it to negative 4. Draw a line. Oh, I got x terms. So make sure you're clear. I got an x term, and a number. So I'm going to move this guy over. And after you divide by 28, you reduce that down by dividing by 4. And you get a negative 2/7. And you can just leave it like that. It's just fine. We don't need to be dividing that out. Okay, let's keep moving. The flagpole, shadow, yes. Draw your picture. Okay, you all can draw a flagpole. If I can draw one, you can draw one. There's my flag. Okay, I'll put the little stripes. All right. All right, where's my blue stars? All right, there. That's better. Now, it's got a shadow of how long? The flag pole casts a shadow. This looks blurry to me. maybe it's my eyes. Flagpole casts a shadow of 75 feet. So that's 75 feet. At the same time, a 6-foot tall man, draw your stick figure, 6 foot. Just like Mrs. Silva, casting a shadow 9 feet. Okay. Write and solve a proportion to find what? What are we trying to find? The height of the flagpole, X. So when you set up your proportion, I mean, there's multiple proportions that could be correct. What I've kind of taught you to do is to take the height of the flagpole over the height of the person. So height over height equals, now go back to the figure with the X. So if we go back to the X with the person, the shadow is 75 over the shadow of the person, which is 9. So we just have to solve that now. So you're going to, and if you have a different proportion, it's totally fine. Just look to see if the X and the 9 are kitty corner. In other words, they're opposite each other there. Then it's fine. It's equal. It's a proportion. These are not multiplied. Okay, so we have 9x equals 6 times 75. So what is 6 times 75? 450. Draw your line, locate your variable, divide by 9, and 9 goes into 45 5 times plus a 0. 50 feet tall. There we are. So it's kind of similar when we go over here. And remember, if these figures are turned and you can't figure out which side goes with which side, you can use this similarity statement where it shows what's equal to what. So in other words, if we want to find x and we're trying to find what's the same as x to put on the bottom, SU, we can go up here and do SU, and we know it's the same as MP. So MP is 14. Equals, pick this side, 4. Because again, if I'm picking x over here, over 14, I have to go back to that one now and put 4 on the top and its corresponding side, which is 6. So we go ahead and cross multiply. We got 6x equals 14 times 4. What is that? Do a little quick multiplication is 56. Draw a line, locate the variable, and divide by 6. And we're left with 56 over 6, which definitely can be reduced. You can either divide it by 2 and get 28 over 3. Or you can write it as a mixed number. So 6 goes into 56 how many times? 9, right? Because 9 times 6 is 54. And then there's how many left? 2. 6. Or you could have done it with this too. It didn't matter. So 9 and 1/3. Or 9.3 repeating is also fine. Lots of options here, as long as it's accurate. And put your unit. Here the unit was feet, here the unit is centimeters. All right, better keep moving. It's already 23 minutes. I know you're all getting antsy already. So let's keep this party rolling. All right, when we get to absolute values and solving them, remember whenever you have an absolute value, first of all, if you have an absolute value equal to a negative, you can't have that. No solution. But this is equal to a 12, so it splits up, and you get one that's positive, and the other one you've set equal to, and it's negative. And there's no solving to do in this one, so those are your two answers. Down here, we get rid of anything that's around the absolute value. Again, there's nothing, just like up here, there was nothing around it. So we do Splitsville, and we have x plus 3 equals 12, and then x plus 3 equals a negative 12. I think I'm writing them opposite of what I said. That's all right. So draw a line, locate the variable. We're going to subtract 3. X equals 9. Subtract 3, and x equals a negative 15. Next, Jane can braid 60 inches of rope in 1 hour. What is her rate of speed in feet per hour? So we're looking for a unit rate. 60 inches for 1 hour. That's what she's doing right now. Put it in a fraction because we need to figure out feet per hour. So the hour is fine. I don't need to change the hour. That's the same. This is the problem, the length. We got to get the inches to feet. So how many inches are in a foot? 12 inches equal 1 foot. So we have to write our unit conversion here. And remember, we want to get the inches out and the feet in. So we need those inches to cancel out. And we're multiplying, so you want to have them opposite. So the inches have to be in the bottom. So I got the 12 inches in the bottom and the 1 foot in the top. So the inches cancel. Oh, my elbow is scraping the table. And 12 divided by 60, that is 5. So we end up with 5 feet per 1 hour. 5 feet an hour. Next, the ratio of boys to girls in Mrs. Silva's algebra class is 6 to 2. Okay, first of all, if I'm going to give you a ratio, somewhere in there I said what represents what, and it's right here. Boys to girls. Boys to girls. So I'm going to put that in a fraction form. And B for boys and G for girls. And there's 5 girls in the class. So this is just the ratio. That's not saying there's 6 boys and 2 girls in the class. That's the ratio. Now it's saying there's 5 girls in the class. How many boys are in the class? So we're setting up a proportion. Okay? Boys to girls. And I said 5 girls are in the class. So girls was in the bottom. So I have to put the 5 in the bottom. And the question was boys. That's my variable. That's what we're trying to find out. Okay, so we know how to solve proportions. Now there's a difference. See, these were multiplication. That's when you can cross cancel and things. When you have a proportion that's equal, we are cross multiplying and setting those equal. They're different procedures. 15. 15 what? 15 boys. 22. English to math. 40. Is means equal. 20%. What is that as a decimal? 0.2. Of means what? Multiply. What number is your variable? X. So draw your line, locate your variable. And now if it's this times this, what's the opposite of multiplying by 0.2? Dividing by 0.2. Good, so 40 divided by 0.2 is 200. All right, the bottom one. What is 30% of 45? So what, that's my variable, is 30% of 45? Simply a multiplication problem. Multiply that out and you get x equals 13.5. All right, just a couple more here and we'll be all set. A sales clerk earns 4% commission on each sale. What is the commission earned on a sale? So they didn't say what her actual salary was because she probably gets an hourly wage. They just said she gets 4% on everything she sells. So all they told you is that she had a sale of $54.50. So she doesn't get $54.50. She gets 4% of that. And we know of is, again, multiplication. So change that to a decimal. So it's 0.04 times $54.50. And the answer is $218. 25. The check for breakfast is $28.93. What is the best estimate for a 20% tip? So first question for you. Round this. What is that about? And I don't mean $28.90. I mean round it. it's not going to be a big difference in money. That's about $30, correct? So if you're doing 20% tip, you're just shifting the decimal and doubling it. So $3 times 2, $6. You also could do it here. You could look at the check, shift the decimal, and see that it's $2.89. That's about $3 and double it. So the rounding can either take place at the beginning or after you shift. Find the percent of increase. Whenever you have a percent increase, percent decrease, percent change, it's always the same. And you're basically trying to find the difference, which is, again, subtracting, on the top. So 49 minus 18, and you're dividing it by the original cost, which is 18. So 49 minus 18 is 31 over 18. When you divide that out, you get 1.72. What percent? You need to shift the decimal 2 spots to the right, and it's 172%. What is the result when 60 is increased by 20%? So you're starting with 60. You're going to increase it by something. What are you going to increase it by? You're going to increase by 20% of whatever that is. So 60 times 0.2. So 60 times 0.2 is 12. So we have 60 plus 12, which is 72. The owner of a shop bought a shirt at the wholesale price of $7 and marked it up 400%. So remember, this is what stores do. They get them for super cheap, right? And then they mark them up a certain percentage so that the store then makes money when they sell it. So the price is definitely going to be bigger than 7. So if you guess something less than 7, that's a bad guess. So what's the selling price? So we're going to take the $7 and we're going to increase it again by whatever we mark it up by. So I have to figure out what is 7 times the 400%, which is 4. 28, 35 buckaroonies. That's the answer to the question, because it said, what is the selling price? They're selling it for $35. How much did they mark it up? $28. So you have to see what I ask you. Did I ask you for what they marked it up, or did I ask you for what they're selling it for? So quite a difference there, isn't it? Got to pay the bills. All right, John bought a TV for $145. He received a 15% employee discount. So when you work at a store, oftentimes you'll get a discount off of products that they have, depending on the store. This particular store was giving a 15% discount. So the question isn't what they paid for the TV. Notice, how much did she save? What? John is definitely not girl. So we're going to change that to he. All right. He received 15% employee discount. So let's find out. All you have to do then is take the 145 times the 0.15, and you get $21.75. That's the discount. What if I were to ask you what he paid for the TV? What would you do? Well, a discount means it's going to go down. So you're going to subtract. So you're going to take the 145 minus the 21.75 and get whatever you get. Let's see, what is that? 123.25, I think? Hopefully. All right, fine. I'll do it the long way. Make sure I'm accurate on the video. Yay. Okay. That's it. That's all she wrote. Study, go back and rewind, and watch the ones that you had trouble with again. Give them a try. All right. Have a good day. Bye.